Our very own Frankie will start us off with the Bible quests, and he is doing Moses. Frankie, can I get you to speak into this? Can you reach it?
I am Moses. I was born in Egypt in the times of the Pharaoh, and when the people of God were in slavery. I had a mother named Jochebed, a brother named Aaron, and a sister named Miriam. I was raised in Pharaoh's palace, but I escaped for defending a slave from the hands of the Egyptians. At first, in the desert, I lived for many days, and until God called me to go back to Egypt and go free God's people. God told me to help me free the people with the help of my brother Aaron. I refused not to go, but he showed me his power by drowning Pharaoh and his army of the Red Sea. Unfortunately, God's people did not obey God, neither me, neither my brother Aaron. God himself called me to Mount Sinai, where he gave me the 2 stones with the 10 Commandments. But I broke them when I saw God's people had made a statue of a golden calf. But God let me I was not allowed in the promised land because I did not obey him. I was supposed to talk to the rock, but I hit the rock twice. But God let me see the promised land from Mount Nebo, where I died at the age of 120 years old. Numbers 12:13 said, "Now Moses was a very humble man, more than any man faced in the earth."
Hello, my name is Joshua, the son of Nun. After my buddy Moses, who is a servant of God, died, I became leader of the Israelites. We soon reached the edge of the Jordan River, so I sent in 2 spies to scout the weakest spots of the city of Jericho so we would know where to attack it from. While the spies were in Jericho, they met a woman named Rahab. She helped them escape from the Jerichoan soldiers, so in return we were to spare her from the destruction of Jericho. The next thing we were to do was cross the Jordan River. So I sent the priest with the ark first, and the coolest thing happened. The river split, and we were able to walk through it on dry ground without getting wet. Then I told 1 man from each of the 12 tribes to grab a stone and build an altar. Then we set up camp on this side of the river. The time soon came for us to siege Jericho. That night, a strange being appeared to me with a sword drawn in his hand. So I asked him, "Are you for us or against us?" And he said, "No. But as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." He also told me to take off my sandal, for I was standing on holy ground. Now it is time to take Jericho, and the Lord told me exactly how we were to take it. For the first 6 days, we would march around the city for a total of 1 time each day. But on the 7th day, we would march around the city for a total of 7 times. Then we would blow horns and trumpets. So we did as the Lord had said, and we marched around the city for a total of 13 times. Then we blew the horns and trumpets. Then something really amazing happened. The walls just started crumbling down. We then went in and captured the city. And remember, God is powerful, and those walls he crumbled, well, they weren't tiny. In order to claim all the land the Lord had given us, we were supposed to drive out our neighbors, and so we had to take the city of Ai. We thought it'd be a pretty easy battle, but little did we know that while we had sieged Jericho, a man named Achan had taken some things from Jericho that he wasn't supposed to. So, yeah, we kind of lost that battle because the sins of this one man affected our entire nation. So, we took Achan, his family, and all his possessions to the valley of Achor and stoned them. Now we can get back to the second battle of Ai. This time, we had a better plan. We would send some of our soldiers to the front to distract and draw out the men of Ai, while my small group of soldiers would sneak in and siege the city. We swiftly conquered the city, and the plan worked. So we did this against Bethel, and they fell pretty easy too. The lesson you can learn from my story is that God is powerful, and if you put your trust in him, together you can do great things. Well, looks like that's the end of my story, so see you next time.
Hello, my name is Deborah. I am the wife of Lapidoth and am currently the judge of Israel. I usually sit under the palm tree of Deborah, and the people come to me to settle their problems. If you are wondering, the palm tree is located between the cities of Ramah and Bethel in the mountains of Ephraim. Soon I will be traveling to Kadesh, because there in the area of Naphtali is a man named Barak, who's the son of Abinoam. I will be sending him the message. As soon as I arrived at his hometown, I looked around for him and told him this as soon as I found him. The Lord, the God of Israel, commands you, go and gather 10,000 men of Naphtali and Zebulun. Lead them to Mount Tabor. I will make Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, come to you. Sisera, his chariots, and his army will meet you at the Kishon River. I will help you to defeat Sisera there. Barak responded to me saying that he would go, but only if I went with him. I agreed to go with him, of course, but I told him that he would not get credit for the victory and that the Lord would let a woman defeat Sisera. As soon as we arrived in Kadesh, Barak called the people of Zebulun and Naphtali together, and he gathered 10,000 men from them to follow him. I'm going with Barak also. Tomorrow will be the day that the Lord will help us defeat Sisera. We went down from Mount Tabor, and before I knew it, it was already night. Everyone is going to sleep now, including myself. I will see everyone in the morning. As I wake up, I see that Barak is still sleeping. I go to him and tell him this, "Get up! Today is the day that the Lord will help you to defeat Sisera. You know the Lord has already cleared the way for you." Barak got up and led the 10,000 men down from Mount Tabor. They attacked Sisera and his army. While everyone was fighting, the Lord confused Sisera, his army, and his chariots. Barak used their swords to defeat Sisera's army, but Sisera fled from his chariot. Barak and his army chased Sisera and his army to Harosheth Hagoyim. Barak and his army killed all of Sisera's army, but Sisera was still nowhere to be found. We are looking for him now. We have checked a few places already. We went by a tent, and a woman named Jael came out to meet Barak. She told him that she would show him the man that he was looking for. Barak went inside her tent, and it was truly a horrific sight. Sisera was laying on the floor dead with a peg in his head. On this day, God defeated Jabin, king of Canaan.
Hello, my name is Hannah. I am the first wife of Elkanah and the mother of Samuel. But enough about that. Let me tell you about my story. I am one of the wives of Elkanah. The other wife is Peninnah. She has given birth to Elkanah's children. I didn't have any, but Elkanah preferred me. Every year, Elkanah offers a sacrifice at the Shiloh sanctuary and gives Peninnah and her children a portion, but he gave me double because he loves me. One day, I went to the temple and I prayed while I cried. Eli, the high priest, was sitting on a chair near the doorpost. In my prayer, I asked God for a son, and in return, I vowed to give my son back to God for his service. I promised that he would remain a Nazirite for all his life. Eli thought I was drunk and asked me a question. That's when I explained myself. After I explained, he blessed me and After I explained to him, he blessed me and sent me home. Days passed by until one day I gave birth to a son, and since I asked the Lord for him, I named him Samuel, which means heard by God. Years passed by. I grew old. No one knew how old I was when I died, but I died at old age. So that's my story. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is David. I am the 8th son of Jesse. You may know me already, but my story may have some things you don't know about me. One day, I was doing what I usually do every day, taking care of the sheep. Then my dad calls me to come to the house. When I came in, I saw Samuel, a prophet of God. Then he poured a horn of oil on me. After, one of Saul's servants came, and he said, Saul wanted me. When I got where Saul was, he asked me to play my harp. And when I did, he said his bad spirits left him. After I heard there was a giant called Goliath, my dad told me to take food to my brothers. When I got there, everyone was hiding. So I went to Saul, and I said I would fight Goliath. So Saul gave me armor, but I knew this would not help me. So I took it off. Then I went to Goliath. I picked up 5 stones to defeat Goliath and his brothers. I knew God was with me, so I went, and Goliath laughed at me and said, You come at me with sticks? So I got my sling and used it to throw the rock at him. It hit his head, and he fell. That day, we won. I was a great king, but there are some times I disobeyed God, but I always came back to God. I was known as the king of the golden age. Before I died, I made sure Solomon became king. I died at age 70.
Hello, my name is Solomon. I was given this name because it means the chosen one, and I was chosen by God. Today, I'm going to tell you my story of my life up until now. I was born in Jerusalem and the second child of David and Bathsheba. I am considered to be the wisest man to ever live. I was also the 3rd king of Israel. Anyway, let's get into the story. A man named Adonijah wanted to have himself be king, but he was outmaneuvered by Bathsheba and Nathan. Nathan convinced David to proclaim me to be king even though I was younger than my brothers. I have had many accomplishments in my life. My military strength was expanded. I have founded a large amount of colonies, and I built a temple that took 7 years. One day, I asked God for great wisdom. Then in a dream, God appeared to me, granting me great wisdom. And wisdom I got. I was then faced with a very tough decision. One day in the temple, 2 women came up to me fighting over a child. One woman said that the child was hers, and the other claimed that the child was hers. So they got in a fight. I was confused what to do, so I asked God for wisdom to help me think the situation through. God had helped me. I had asked one of my servants to give me a sword and demanded that the baby should be cut in half. I did this to see who the true mother really was. One woman said to give the child to her, and the other woman said, I don't care what you do with the baby. Kill him for all I care. I then decided who the real mother was, and I gave the baby who showed the most compassion to it. I was thankful that God had helped me. There was one problem in my life. I was married to 700 wives and had 300 concubines. I married them so I could be united with the other nations. They worshipped other gods, and I worshipped the one true God. I had to decide if if I was going to worship God or worship their idols. Eventually, I worshiped their gods and had lost all my faith in the one true God. God was very angry with me, so angry that he punished me by removing 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel from the Israelites. He also said to me that since you have worshipped other gods and have not kept my commandments, I will tear down your kingdom and give it to your servant. At the end of my life, I had to deal with some enemies, including Hadad and Jeroboam, but that is a whole other story. If you want to learn more of what my accomplishments were in my entire life, go to the book of 1 Kings. I've had many wives in my life and have had many family problems. I eventually lost faith in God and was sucked into worshiping false gods. There were consequences, and God was very upset. The lesson you can learn from me in 1 Kings 3:1 is that whenever you're praying to God, ask for wisdom and understanding. Do not wish for wealth and fame, for with wisdom you are already wealthy through Christ. I have 3 points to end off the story. 1, true wisdom makes God happy. If you ask for wisdom, he will give it to you. 2, prayer can change your entire life. 1 prayer changed my life as I asked for wisdom. And 3, bad company can corrupt good character. Because I was influenced by the religion of my wife, I accepted pagan traditions, worshiping to their gods, and turned away from the one true God.
Hello, I am the Queen of Sheba. When I was in my kingdom some months ago, I was doing some things to improve my kingdom, make it more powerful, more wealthy. But then I heard of a rumor of a king named Solomon. Many say that he is the wealthiest, wisest king, and his kingdom is the biggest, most beautiful of them all. They also say that his kingdom makes all other kingdoms look sad, small, and pitiful. What kind of king can find such wealth? Who gives him all this power? Whatever it may be, I want some. I plan to question him, see what gives him all this wealth that I want so much. I also planned to travel to Jerusalem with many servants. I'd also bring camels carrying spices, jewels, and a lot of gold. I wanted to look wealthy and powerful like he was. When I finally arrived, I was escorted to the king. When I was brought into the palace, I could see that all the rumors were actually true. Solomon and his kingdom was very, very wealthy. I asked him everything I could possibly think of, but nothing fools him. He was the wisest man in the world. Nothing fools this man. Who or what gives him all this wisdom? Then he gave me a tour of the palace. He showed me all his officers. There were so many, it was as far as my eyes could see. Then he brought me into his dining room and showed me all his fine foods. I saw his servants and what they wore. They wore the finest clothes. I also saw what his servants ate. Their food actually looked delicious. Then he gave me a tour of the temple of his God. He calls it the temple of the Lord. Maybe this is the one that gives him all the wealth and power. Then he showed me the burnt offerings that he gives to the Lord his God. And why was I amazed? So I told King Solomon, I heard in my own country about your achievements and wisdom, and all of it is true. I could not believe it then, but now I have come and seen it with my own eyes. I was not even told half of it. Your wisdom and wealth are much, much greater than I have heard. Your men and officers are very, very lucky. In always serving you, they are able to hear your wisdom. Praise the Lord your God. He was pleased to make you king of Israel. So he made you king to keep justice and to rule fairly. 1 Kings 10:6-9. Then I, the Queen of Sheba, gave King Solomon my 9,000 pounds of gold. I also gave him my spices and my fine jewels. I have been told no one since that time has brought more spices into Israel than I, the Queen of Sheba, gave to King Solomon as a gift. Then King Solomon gave me many gifts. He gave me gifts rulers would give to other rulers, but then he gave me whatever else I wanted or asked for. After this, my servants and I went back to our country. This trip has taught me what a powerful God King Solomon has. His God loves his people. His God loves his people. He gave him a good king. I myself may even consider this God. Well, this was my encounter with the wisest, wealthiest, most powerful king.
Hello, my name is Gehazi, and I was a servant of Elisha. He was my master and was specially chosen by God. God told Elijah to anoint my master, Elisha. Because I was a servant of Elisha, I was the next one to be in power. But I sadly loved something more than God or anything else, and that was money. Little did I know that this item I loved so much would soon affect me. My master, Elisha, did many miracles, but I wanted money for the miracles that my master did, and he said it was not right. I really didn't understand why he did this. I mean, we should get paid for miracles, right? One of the miracles that my master did was when a woman came up to him and said, "Please help me. My husband is dead, and I am in debt. If I don't pay, my sons will be taken away from me." My master asked, "Do you have anything of use or value?" The woman said, "I have a jar of oil." Elisha told her to get more jars and fill them with oil. And when she did, it never stopped coming, and it was enough to pay off the debt. But after so many miracles, one finally made me snap. One day, a man named Naaman had leprosy and came to Elisha and asked him to be healed. So my master sent a servant to go tell him to bathe in the Jordan River 7 times. Naaman was furious at first because my master did not come himself, but his servants told him to listen to the prophet and do as he asked. So he did, and he was healed. So he offered my master many riches and rewards, but did not accept. So I thought to myself, my master was too easy on Naaman, so I hurried after him. And when he saw me, he got down from his chariot to meet me. When he asked was everything all right, I told a lie. I said everything was all right, but my master has given me a message to tell you that 2 men from a group of prophets have come to me in Ephraim. My master has said, I need 1 talent of silver and 2 changes of garments because he has changed his mind and needed the money. He insisted that I take 2 times of what I needed. So when I got to my house, my master was there and asked me, "Where have you been, Gehazi?" I responded by saying, "Your servant has not gone anywhere." But he said, "Was my spirit not with you when the man got down from his chariot to meet you? How do you know what I have done?" He then cursed me at Naaman's leprosy. If I had not been so selfish, I would have not been rejected by my master, but most importantly, I would have not disobeyed God. Money got in the way with me and God. Everybody listen. Don't be greedy like I was, and don't put anything before God. The Bible says, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed away from their faith in their greediness, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." 1 Timothy 6:10. I hope you don't make the same mistake I did. Thank you for listening. If you want to find more information about me, go to 2 Kings 5:20-27.
I am Jezebel, daughter of the king of Tyre. I am known as the wife of Ahab. I had 3 children, Ahaziah, Jehoram, and Athaliah. Now I'm going to tell you the story that you have been dying to hear. My husband, King Ahab, was a very rich man. He owned at least 2 palaces, one in Samaria and one in Jezreel. The palace in Samaria, well, it's known as the Ivory House because the walls were covered with ivory cut from the tusks of elephants. But with all his money, he was still not happy. If someone had something that he did not have, he would want it. One day, he was looking out the window of his palace in Jezreel. His eyes roamed over a beautiful vineyard that adjoined the royal lands. The thought occurred to him that it would make a fine addition to the palace gardens, and he made up his mind to buy it. My husband went to the owner Naboth. He offered to give him another vineyard in exchange for Naboth's, or he could pay the worth in money. It was a fair offer, but Naboth did not want to sell the vineyard because it had been his father's and grandfather's. When this occurred, my husband got very mad. When he got home, he threw himself into bed and refused to eat. When he did not come to dinner, I, Queen Jezebel, went to his room to find out why. Then he told me the vineyard story. I told him, "You're the king. Get up, and if you want the vineyard, I will get it for you." So I set about getting the vineyard for him in my wicked ways. The city officials did whatever I told them. I had learned that you had to control people in order to have power. The council was to find 2 false witnesses to say that Naboth had blasphemed God and the king. Naboth was found guilty and taken out of the city and stoned to death. It was as simple as that and as evil as that. But if Ahab and I ever thought we were going to get away with such a terrible lie and murder, we were dreadfully mistaken. Ahab went the next day to take possession of Naboth's vineyard. But who was there? Elijah, that little prophet of God. The last time we had seen him was at Mount Carmel, where he had called fire down from heaven and ordered my prophets of Baal be killed. Elijah had ran in front of King Ahab's chariot during the terrible rainstorm. Then he ran like a scared little rabbit from me, knowing I wanted his life. Ahab said, "Elijah, my enemy, you have found me." Elijah said, "God sent me to tell you have done evil. You have killed Naboth. The dogs licked his blood, and that way you will also die." Ahab died in battle, and the dogs licked up his blood. Elijah had prophesied that I would also die by dogs at the walls of Jezreel. After Ahab died, I lived for 12 more years. There was unrest in the kingdom. I knew that Jehu vowed to avenge the deaths of the prophets by my hand. Their word was, he was on his way today. I dressed in my best. My makeup and hair was flawless. I see the dust rising off the road. Suddenly, I feel a push from behind. My guards pushed me from the window. As the dogs savagely attack, nothing is left but my hands and skull to bury.
That was the last person, so let's hear an amen for all the kids. Amen. Thank you.